She came to visit my mom, but stayed for me. She said, "Call me auntie." I called her at midnight. She was just my mom's friend. Until she closed the door. The first thing I noticed wasn't her smile. It was the way she lowered her bag to the floor, careful, like she didn't want to disturb the quiet of our house. Mom's friends usually came in loud, carrying trays of sweets or gossip, filling the air with chatter. But she stood there at the doorway, mid-ormotsis maybe, her hair loose, strands of silver catching the dim light of the hallway. She said something polite to my mom, her voice calm, low, and then her ace found me. Just for a second too long. "Arsel, say salam to your auntie," my mother called from the kitchen. I muttered a greeting. She gave me a small nod, nothing more, but I felt the weight of it. Dinner was uneventful. Or at least it should have been. I kept catching myself watching her hands as she folded her napkin, the way she listened more than she spoke. Every time I looked, I expected her to catch me staring, but she never turned her head. Afterwards, when Mom went upstairs to take a call, it was just me and her in the living room. The TV was on, low volume, a news anchor mumbling about some political scandal. She shifted on the sofa, her shawl slipping from one shoulder. "You were quiet," she said, eyes still on the screen. I shrugged. Not much to say. A small smile touched her lips. That's rare. Most boys your age don't know when to stop talking. Something in her tone wasn't mocking. It was noticing. As if she was filling the thought away, giving me a kind of attention I wasn't used to. I should have left it there. But I didn't. "You don't look like the other friends my mom brings," I said. Her eyes finally turned to me. Dark, steady. And how do they look? Like they were waiting to be seen. She let out the softest laugh, more breath than sound, and shook her head. "You shouldn't say things like that. Not to someone like me. Someone like you." I leaned forward a little. Her gaze didn't waver, but her hand tightened around the cup of tea she held. She looked as if she was about to answer, then the landline rang upstairs. Mom's voice echoed down the staircase, calling for me to pick it up. I went. When I came back, she had retreated into herself again, eyes on the window, as though the short exchange had never happened. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay on my bed, staring at the ceiling fan, replaying her half-smile, the pause before her words. It felt like there was something left unsaid between us, something hanging in the air. At midnight, without thinking, I found myself dialing the guest room extension, the one we never used. My hand shook a little as I pressed the buttons. I expected silence, maybe the line to be dead. But after 2 rings her voice came, soft, almost a whisper. "Arsel." The sound of my own name from her mouth did something strange to my chest. I froze. I didn't even know what I was going to say. There was a pause, a long one, the kind where the quiet gets heavy. Then she spoke again, lower this time. "You shouldn't be calling me now." And before I could answer, I heard the faint click of the door in her room closing. I didn't sleep after that. Her voice kept circling my head, low, careful, almost afraid. "You shouldn't be calling me now." By morning, she was in the kitchen with my mother, hair tied back, sleeves rolled up, helping chop vegetables like she belonged here. She looked different in daylight. Softer. But when her eyes met mine across the counter, her hand paused on the knife for just a second before she forced a smile. "Good morning, Arsel," she said lightly, as if nothing had happened. "Morning." I tried to sound casual, but something in me wanted her to acknowledge the call, even a hint. She didn't. Mom fussed around, asking her about her son who had moved abroad. That caught my ear. She spoke gently, choosing her words as if they still stung. "He doesn't call much anymore," she admitted, her gaze lowering to the cutting board. "That's how it is with children when they grow older. They forget you were someone before them." Mom made a sympathetic noise and changed the subject, but I kept staring at her. She had a life, one that was full before she stepped into this kitchen, before she carried that sadness in her voice. Later that evening, I found her alone in the living room, reading. She had taken off her shawl, glasses perched on her nose, the lines around her eyes deepening as she smiled faintly at something on the page. "You read a lot?" I asked from the doorway. She looked up, startled, then closed the book on her lap. "When I can." "What was it last night?" The words tumbled out before I could stop them. Her body stiffened. "Last night. The call." She hesitated, fingers brushing the cover of her book. "It was late. You were restless." "That's all." "That's not all." She inhaled slowly, then shook her head. "Arcel, I'm your mother's friend. Nothing more." The way she said it, steady but brittle, made me want to push back. I took a step closer. "Then why close the door?" Her lips parted, but no answer came. She set the book aside, stood, and adjusted her shawl as if preparing armor. "Because I know where things like this lead," she said finally, voice quiet but sharp. "Where do they lead?" Her eyes flicked to mine, filled with something between warning and a key. "To places we cannot return from." The silence that followed felt too loud, the ticking clock in the hall punctuating every second we didn't speak. And then, soft, almost breaking, she added, "You should be careful with the way you look at me." I swallowed hard, my chest tight. She moved toward the door, hand brushing against the wall for balance. But when she passed me, her sleeve brushed my wrist, light, unintentional, yet it burned like a secret. She didn't look back, the house was too quiet that evening. Mom had gone out to a neighbor's dinner, leaving just the two of us. I told myself I'd stay in my room, keep distance, but every sound from downstairs, the clink of dishes, the shuffle of her slippers, pulled me toward her. I found her in the kitchen rinsing cups, sleeves rolled up, humming faintly to herself. She didn't notice me at first. The light above her head was dim, catching the silver strands in her hair. "You shouldn't sneak up like that," she said without turning, as if she had felt me there all along. I wasn't sneaking. She set a cup down too firmly, it rattled in the sink. "Then what do you call standing in the doorway, watching?" Her words should have embarrassed me. Instead, I stepped closer. "I just like being where you are." She finally looked at me. That look lasted too long, long enough to mean something, and then she shook her head, drying her hands on the towel. "You are making mistakes you don't understand yet." I wanted to ask what she meant, but footsteps sounded suddenly from outside. Mom's voice carried through the gate, speaking to someone, louder, then keys jangling. Panic flared in her eyes. "Go," she whispered sharply, nodding toward the stairs. I hesitated, then hurried up, heart pounding. From my room, I heard the front door open, heard my mother's cheerful chatter mixing with hers. By the time I came down later, she was sitting calmly in the living room, as though nothing had passed between us. But the near catch changed something. That night, I dreamed of her standing in the kitchen again, only this time, when she told me to leave, I didn't. I reached for her wrist. Her pulse beat fast beneath my fingers. When I woke, the dream clung to me. The next afternoon, I walked into the living room and found her adjusting her shawl in front of the mirror. She saw me in the reflection, and for a moment, neither of us moved. "You keep looking at me like I'm not supposed to notice," she said softly. "Maybe I want you to notice." Her breath caught, the smallest sound, and then she turned sharply, walking past me. My hand brushed her arm as she passed, not enough to stop her, just enough to feel her warmth. She froze. Not for long, just a heartbeat, but it was enough. "Arcel," she murmured, my name breaking on her lips like a warning. Then she pulled away, moving down the hall quickly, as if distance was the only safety she had left. I stood there, staring at the space she had left behind, my own chest tight with something I couldn't name.